Item B is discussion of water rates. I'm going to give this over to Adam. He has done a lot of research and he's ready to present information to the council and to the community members this evening.
One of the things that we've been reviewing, and we try to do on an annual basis, is our status in the different utilities, the different departments in the city. And on this particular issue, some alarming issues came up that need to be reviewed by the city council. I've created a little packet of information for each one of you. It should be in your packets. It should start with a chart labeled 2008 Water Department on the top. If you'd like to pull that out, I'll start to go through this little informative packet for you, walk you through it, and answer any questions you might have as we go through it. One of the things that we've discovered is that the water department is currently running at a deficit of about $130,000 a year. And you'll see some of that information come out as we go through this. If you'll look, and please, if you have any questions, just ask as we go along. If you'll look and you pull out the 2008 Water Department numbers, you'll also see that underneath that is the 2007 Water Department numbers, and behind that's the 2006, and behind that's the 2005. What you'll see in each one of these pages is the darker bar represents our expenses. Now what I have done is I've taken our annual expenses and I've averaged them out over a 12-month period to give you an idea that over a period of a year how much we need to be bringing in to cover our cost. The light bar to the left of the dark bars is the revenues that are being brought in on a monthly basis. Now one of the things that you will see is as far back as August of 06, for every month the water department has lost money. There is not one exception to that back to August of 06. In July of 06 is where you see the change occur. In July of 06, you'll see a significant spike in revenues. This is a result of the $400,000 that was recovered by bonding for the water meters at that time. Prior to that month, if you look into previous months in 2006 and the calendar year of 2005, you'll see that there is a pretty standard up and down package showing you that in some months there was money made, some months there was money lost. We were basically running right at the black line up till that point, and since 2006 we've been running in the red every month. A lot of the result of this had somewhat been, I won't say hidden, but it had been a little bit more difficult to discover because of the fact that we had the large revenue sitting in our pockets that were actually paying for the monthly expenses at that time. Now as that money has been ran off and the reserves have been ran off, we are now in a state of where there is the water department budget and now at the revenue now is sitting at a zero balance. There's actually now money coming out of the general fund and other locations to support the water department. Of course, this is not a long-term option. It's not a solution for the department. And that is, long-term, you can't budget like that. The state won't allow you to. Now, with that kind of set aside, what these graphs basically depict is what's provided to you in the actual numbers on the next page. You'll see a month-by-month comparison of what was brought in revenues and what was spent in expenses on a month-by-month basis. And that'll kind of give you a little bit clearer picture of what's being lost on a month-by-month basis. To give you an example, in July, for instance, the revenues were $33,700 and the expenses were roughly $45,900. Which would be $12,200 short of the revenues that were produced for that month.
You said 45, it's actually 49.
If you look over to the
July.
In the next couple of pages, what is being presented to you is the actual water department budget. You'll see that there's the first page is, of course, the revenues, which the revenues are anticipated to be $503,000 for this year. However, I will tell you that last year we missed the revenue mark by almost $50,000, and I'll explain a little bit later on why that would occur. The next couple of pages are, of course, the budget report, which present to everyone the cost of running the plant, the distribution, and the accounting costs, and the capital improvement and revenue cost, all coming up to a total of $4,620. You have to add on to this, if you look onto the very next page, the transfers for a fiscal year. And as we just discussed earlier with the transfers that we were looking at reviewing, there are a couple of costs that are associated with the water department. One being water to special assessment for a previous project that was done. That was in the amount of $21,400. There was $70,000 water to debt service for another project, which that was the water meters, I believe so. And then you've got the occupational fee of $10,000 from water to general. There is also what is not shown on here, and I've written in at the bottom of yours, is a $5,500 payment for equipment purchase. It goes right along with what Jim actually mentioned earlier. Equipment being purchased is shared between different departments. The reason why you will not see it included in this list is simply because the water department did not have the money to pay back that loan. It was carried over to this year to be paid back. What this all totals out to is roughly $551,000 for the water department to cover its entire operating expense. And as you can see from the revenue page, we were anticipating a $503,000 revenue. However, as I mentioned before, we have been experiencing a situation where we're not making up our revenue. We're not meeting 100% of our revenue on an annual basis. We project that based upon where usages are, that our windfall is about $130,000 a year right now.
Not windfall, outfall.
Correct. I'm sorry. The next page will kind of explain to you why we're not meeting our revenue numbers. This is our water usage results over a 4-year time span. And one of the things that they factor in when they look at their revenues is they anticipate their revenues based upon what they expect to sell, of course, what usage they expect to see. And in the years 05 and 06, you'll see that there was a significant increase, an influx of water usage. Well, in the last year and a half, what you'll see is that there has been a correction of this. It has returned to the 5-year norms. And as a result, there is less water being, billable water being used, and so therefore there's less revenue coming in than what was projected to come in. We believe that that was probably a result of the fact that previous year's usage was being used at least solely or to a great degree to determine the next year's usage of water. And that would likely fail to recognize the fact that you need to use a long-term scope to focus on what your average water usage will be from a year-to-year basis. And from what we can tell from preliminary revenue expectations, that may not have been the anticipation, the previous anticipation. The following page will provide you a detailed explanation of the previous chart, which is the usage results. You will see a month-by-month breakdown of how many gallons were being used, billable gallons were being used on a month-by-month basis. You'll see that there is an average by month provided to the right, and by year there's an average at the bottom that gives you some anticipation of what usage has been. As you can see, in 05 and 06, usage was in the neighborhood of 62 to 62.5 million, and then last year it dropped off to less than 60 million was the actual usage. That kind of goes along with the discussions we've had. Last year was a little bit under the average, but it was more in line with the average usage than the 2 previous years.
Based off the numbers you have for 08 here, it looks like we're going to be even less than last year.
Yes, there is.
It's looking like about 58 million.
Yes, but this year we believe is an anomaly due to the heavy rains that we've received into the spring. We do not believe that this is conducive with what you'll see next year as far as water usage goes.